the gold.
Who are your biggest role models in this industry?
I'd say Habib.
He has sampled the sweet taste of gold, and now
You're just like, I'm so glad the preparation is over. The preparation is the hard part. The fight is the easiest part. Like, if I put all the training on one side of the scale and I put the fight on the one scale, the training is harder. Like, because it's constant. You're battered. You have that hard session. All right, and again.
6 days a week, 2 times a day.
Yeah.
That's one hell of a job. What does legacy mean to you, and how do you want people to remember Muhidin?
To me, what legacy is leaving something when you're gone that people can look back on that's not materialistic. If there's something you're chasing, it's usually not one problem. It's going to be a world of problems. And okay, but if you went to the park now and there was 2 guys playing paddle there and 2 guys fighting there, you're going to watch the fight.
Yeah. Why do you think is that?
I think it's just something about...
Welcome back to BUUNDO podcast, where we host shakers and movers from across the globe, diving deep into the stories, struggles, and successes of extraordinary individuals making a difference in their fields. Each session is a journey through an extraordinary individual who is leaving a mark in the spaces they operate in. From creativists to innovators to cultural shapers and opinion makers, we're here to learn, inspire, and grow. And today I have the honor to host a Somali star who is basically making waves across the global stage. Many times MMA champion, Muhidin Abukar. What an honor to host you here today.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for having me.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. So Muhidin is many times, like 7-8 times MMA champion, who's basically born with the spirit of a fighter and grew up in a Somali household. I have had the honor and the pleasure of attending your last fight in which you got this beautiful medal here in Abu Dhabi. What a pleasure it was to watch you fighting in the ring. I actually knew you out of the ring before, but seeing you and watching you and getting to experience your spirit and your power and passion in the ring was basically a totally different dimension of my experience with you. It's a pleasure to be with you today. Welcome back to BUUNDO. Let's go back to your childhood. I'm a big believer in the fact that childhood experiences basically contribute who we become later on in life. How was your childhood like?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Childhood does definitely affect how people grow up in life. My childhood, I don't think there was anything crazy, like anything like super different. Simple. I was born in a place called Ilford. It's in a borough called Redbridge. It's one of working class, let's say. I was there until about 10 years old. Then I moved to Plaistow, where I live now, and that's also working class. It's definitely not one of the better areas to live in if you're looking at crime, poverty, and all this kind of stuff. Growing up, I used to go to school. I used to like playing football. That was more what I was into. And I used to just like fighting in school, fighting at home. But I didn't like fighting at home because it was always my big brother and he usually wins. But yeah, my childhood was more around football. I'll go to school in the morning, obviously, finish school, go to madrasa, duksi, whatever, for a few hours, come home. At home, play games, and yeah, just play football. That's what I wanted to pursue for a long time until I was about 13. But anyways, then when I moved to Newham, I was like year 6. That's when I started meeting new people, and then around about that time, after a few years, 13, I was still playing football. That's what I wanted to do. And then I was introduced to martial arts slowly. Started training. But when I started martial arts initially, it was never about competing. I just thought I want to be like Jackie Chan. That's what I thought in my head. Yeah, if I
Okay.
could fight. But in my head, I was thinking, because I always used to fight in school all the time. And I said, if I train,
Were you defending yourself, or were you attacking people?
I don't know.
Just a fight, just a childish fight.
Trouble used to find me. That's what I used to tell people.
Yeah.
Trouble finds me. But yeah, so I was training. So when I started training, I'll be honest with you, it was never a thing about, I'm going to learn discipline, or I'm going to become a competitor, I want to be a professional fighter. To be honest, I probably thought to myself, I always get into fights, I'm just going to be able to fight better. This was my mentality at the time. But martial arts it's weird, because if you look at it from the outside, what it looks like and what it really does is totally different. Like, I went into it probably with a negative intention, fight better, and just basically it's not going to do anything positive. But then what you end up getting out of it, you get discipline, you start to respect people. It's like when you go to the gym, everyone's the same. There's people, adults there, there's kids there, teenagers, kids in school. This kid's a smart kid, this kid's not such an academic kid, this guy's a doctor, this guy's a police officer. Like, we're all just from different walks of life, but we all come to do one thing. And you start to respect older people, you start to see loads of things. And yeah, with time, that was like, so when it started off with a bad intention, but it kind of...
What was the bad intention?
I just thought I'm going to fight better when I get into fights in school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Let's put it this way. Do you think this basically reflects your thought process at that point of time? Were you ever bullied?
a little bit when I was like 7, 8 years old, for like a few months maybe.
And do you think that you had the urge to fight back on that bullying? Like maybe to defend yourself at a good level?
But you know what it is? It happened so young, a little bit of bullying, when I was like year 1, so grade 1. But by the time I was like grade 2, grade 3, I wasn't bullying. Like, I wasn't getting bullied, but like I was fighting guys. But it wasn't fighting guys as like people bullying me and I'm like a victim having to defend myself. It was just, he said something to me. Okay, let's fight.
Oh.
Yeah, like that kind of thing.
Okay.
So I knew, like, naturally, and I had a temper. So someone say something small or do something, someone push your bottle or this, and just start fighting. So like I said, my intention was like, it's just gonna help me. And then, but yeah, then with time, you just become like a better person. You start to become disciplined. You start to respect people. You start to understand how to manage situations in ways that you don't need to. You can avoid conflict. 99% of problems in this world, you can probably avoid conflict. You get into an argument with someone, you don't need to fight him. There's not, it's not the rational thing to do. So with time, and then that was like my childhood training when I started. But when I did start training, I was about 10, 11 years old.
Okay.
But when I started training, this was when I started karate, but when I started MMA at about 13, 14,
Okay.
it was like, that's when I got like seriously hooked, and I was like all in. When I was training from like 10 to 30, it was like when a parent takes a kid football on a Saturday, he goes once a week. One day he's tired, one day he wants to play his game, he doesn't want to go. That's how it was for me. I would go sometimes, but when I was like 13, 14, that's when I started training every day, pretty much. After school, I'd go to the gym, spend a couple hours there, and it became like routine. And at this time, I was even more around adults, around more people. So the things that martial arts teaches you, I was around it even more. So discipline started becoming more, respect started becoming more, these kind of things that martial arts teaches you. This was kind of when it started to really take shape in my life.
Yeah. Given this, do you remember of a particular moment, a specific moment or a person that inspired you to think, I'm going to be a fighter. From today on, I'm going to be a fighter in the MMA?
I don't know, honestly. Sometimes I think about this and I try to ask myself if there was a moment, but I don't think there was. I think just when I started MMA, like immediately I was like, wow, fun. Like, I love this. And I'm going to the gym every day. I love this. And I probably said to myself at some point, like, yeah, I'm going to do this. But when you're 14, you have dreams, but they're far away. Like, it's like, I'm sure you've probably seen, for example, you've seen someone on TV, like when you're a kid, you'd think, wow, he's like in another dimension.
Yeah.
But now you've probably met famous people and you're like, oh, they're just the same as us, you know?
Yeah.
These things are all achievable. So when you're 14, it's a far dream, you know?
It's just so
yeah,
wild.
it's just a thought at the back of your head. I want to achieve this. I want to be a footballer. I want to do this. So I didn't really think too hard about it. But when I got to about 16, that's when I started telling myself, like, yeah. I started, you know, you start thinking about life and how you're going to do things. Okay, after college, I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to do this to achieve this. And this is how I'm going to pursue this. So these are the kind of steps I was kind of taking rather than necessarily a specific person that kind of...
Or a specific moment.
Yeah, I can't really pinpoint something.
You come from a Somali household. The conservative culture of a Somali family setting doesn't align much with the
sports in general.
sports in general, and particularly
Fighting,
MMA.
yeah.
It's just a wild
Different.
thought. It's just something that never comes to the parents' mind. Our parents want us to take the casual, safest routes, lawyers, doctors, professors, all that. How did you navigate these tensions? Let me know if your parents basically didn't approve the idea of you pursuing career in MMA fighting or in the sports world in general.
To be honest, when I first started training because my parents put me into training because they, alhamdulillah, they thought different. Like how I told you, my intention was bad, but this is obviously the wisdom of parents. Like they knew if we get him into martial arts, maybe he'll become disciplined and he'll stop fighting and he'll be more, you know, calm down and whatnot. So they already had that vision. Like we put him into training, they know like it's going to teach him discipline and whatnot. And alhamdulillah, it did end up teaching me discipline and becoming a better person. So that obviously was at the beginning when it comes to training. In terms of competition, I started competing. Competition, it wasn't like when I first started, obviously it wasn't as straight away as at a professional level. So that was just, you just do it, compete, no problem, whatever. Professional, I think my parents first, they were thinking uni, like, oh no, go to finish college, then go to university, graduate. But I think when at the end of the day, a lot of people always look at like, oh, my parents, they don't want me to do this. They just want me to be a doctor. But I always tell them, in some way, they're right. It comes from a good place. They struggled so much to have very little. Like, think about all our families that migrated to the West. They left everything they had. They come. How many stories are there? Somalis working in another country for months before they see their family. So they sacrifice so much just for you to have something. So they don't want you to struggle. So they want you to have a safe route that you guarantee yourself. They don't want you to do something and then in 10 years later, you've got nothing from it and you're regretting and now you're struggling in life. So it all comes from a good place.
For sure.
But I think people don't understand that. People just think, my parents are backwards. This is how they think.
Yeah.
But it all comes from a good place, which I understand.
Yeah. Which always, most of the times, right?
Yeah, because let's be honest with you, I'm all for people chasing their dreams, but a lot of the time when people chase their dreams, it doesn't work out. A lot of that's the reality. Yeah. And so I think what with me was, I was competing as an amateur, and yeah, my parents want me to go uni a little bit. They weren't super pushing, but they were, go to uni. And my thing was,
that's what they would have liked it from.
They would have preferred, yeah. Then but when I was in college and school, I was competing and I was doing well. So they're seeing that this is not something far-fetched. Muhidin's doing well. He's not just saying, I want to do this, and he's just not really putting his time into it. They're seeing me. From 13 to 14, I was in the gym every day for hours after school. All my friends were doing other things. Like, my teens was not like spent like a teenager. I was spending it in the gym. So my parents saw my hard work. It was paying off. The results were there. But the results was only coming from my time and what I was doing. And I think that's kind of made them think, maybe he can do something. And I think that's That's a big thing. Like, people think that your parents or people are just going to believe in you straight away. You have to show them there's something to believe in.
Yeah.
If I tell you tomorrow I want to be a scientist, on what basis do you believe that I'm serious and I'm going to actually try to pursue it as it should be? But now if I tell you I want to do this in MMA, okay, yeah, Muhidin's doing that. We can see he's working. It makes sense. So I think my hard work kind of made the conversations easier, let's say.
Yeah. So that means you are basically producing results that makes them think differently.
Yeah. But the results only comes from hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were also seeing a difference in your behavior, in your discipline.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. And I think, like I said, where I come from, Newham, the crime rate is ridiculous. I think it's in the top 2 or 3 highest crime rates in the UK, I believe,
Okay.
or England or UK or something. So, like, you're seeing people who get into the wrong crowds and spending their time wrongly, left, right, and center. Like, it's like, as bad as it is to say, like, these days, every other family has a bad apple, has a rotten apple, someone who's done something or who's doing things that aren't on the right path. And that's not me judging anyone. But, so it's like, now I think my parents probably thought of it like, this is something that's going to keep him busy, and he's not going to go stay left. So,
Yeah.
So I think it was, a factor of things.
So basically they saw it as a safe route compared to what's available on the ground.
Not necessarily what's available, but it's like, let's say I went to uni or I did go to college, but let's say I went to college and I wasn't training. There's a lot of spare time for teenagers to do whatever. So, but when you've got something that you're dedicated to,
and that's keeping you busy.
Yeah, you're occupied and you don't want to jeopardize that as well. So I think that's what kind of helped me.
Apart from the parents in your family setting, who can you think of that were of any support to you early on your career stage before you even got any successes at any point?
I have some cousins and maybe a handful, 5 to 10 maybe, that was from the beginning competitions when I was 14, 15. They were always coming. Because when you're 14, 15 and you're competing as an amateur, it's not something that's really gets too much support. Let's be honest, if there's a 14-year-old kid who starts playing football now for a football team on the weekend, when he has a match on the weekend, nobody goes to watch him. Maybe his parents. But he's not bringing it. 10 of his cousins are not going out of their way to go and support him, to buy tickets and all this kind of stuff. So family was number one. Majority. Friends, there was a few friends that supported me from early on, but majority was family.
I resonate with what you're saying now because I've had the honor of meeting your daddy last night while you were in the ring fighting. What a great dad you have. You're very blessed to have a father like that. I mean, he's a father anybody would wish for. And I could see so many of your family members and your friends and the community came out for you, supporting you, cheering you up, clapping for you all the way. So sitting among those people, it made me feel so proud of you because, let me say, it's only a hard-working person with proven results that earns the support and the trust of his community, particularly your family. So what does your family support mean to you generally in your life and particularly in your career, given that your father and your whole family traveled all the way to Abu Dhabi just to watch and support you in the fight?
Yeah, obviously this is the 4th time I fought in Abu Dhabi. I've seen, it's not a common thing for people to have such support overseas. My last opponent, he was from Chile. There was no 50 people flying and to Abu Dhabi to support him. You know what I mean? My opponent before that was from South Africa, same thing. So it's not something, like you said, it's very rare. It's not something common. But I think, honestly, this is what Somali community is like. This is just how we are. Even though my family came, there was a lot of people that I've never met. I've never met you before. You came with people that I don't know either. There was people asking me for tickets. I said, how many tickets do you want? They're like 20. I don't know these 20 people, but it's just people wanting to support me. But yeah, the family support is very important. There was times where, of course, earlier on in your career, you need more support, many things. And I think, there are some people who definitely helped me more well, like when I needed it more. Obviously now, alhamdulillah, things, obviously situation's a bit better. But yeah, definitely. And support is priceless. It makes the journey a lot easier because this is a very hard sport. To be honest, sports, and not only sports, chasing any dream in particular is expensive and tough. And sometimes just even not even financial support, but even just moral support, mental support, it can be the difference between someone carrying on or stopping.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look, this podcast, when the first 2 videos probably came out and there's probably like 100 views or whatever,
Yeah.
there could be times where you're thinking, maybe I'm not gonna do this, and someone said, no, just keep working, it's gonna come, and then all of a sudden you've got something, like people were with me, and yeah, so it's priceless having support from people. So I remember speaking to someone recently, and he was saying to me, he's in a position now. He said, I'm in a position now to help people. And like, this is someone who helped me a little bit. And he said, but we don't want anything back from you. We just want you to pass on that same thing. We tried to help you once upon a time. Now you go do the same thing for someone else.
Mm-hmm. Pass it over.
Yeah.
Pass it on.
You go help someone else that needs it.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that, like, in my martial arts journey, when I was younger, and I would speak with professional fighters, older fighters, experienced fighters from other countries. It's like I was like a kid speaking to these people and asking them for advice. And now those same things that I was asking people for advice for, people asking me now, younger fighters, amateur fighters. So it's like, and I always remember the time of day those people gave me, the effort they gave me. If someone's a professional fighter fighting for money, he has no benefit speaking to an 18-year-old boy. He's not going to benefit him in any way. But obviously, just do good. Try to be a good person, help people. And I'm the same.
Keep the door open for those.
Yeah. Like, there's people who had small conversations with me. And for them, it was just a conversation. But for me, it sticks with me forever.
Mm-hmm.
And likewise, when I give advice to younger fighters, I try to make the conversation something that they will remember. If they ask me for some advice about something, I try to say it to them and I try to advise them and I try to make them, comprehend what I'm trying to say and let it be something that they stick with and they will remember one day, okay, yeah, I remember when Muhidin told me so and so.
Very interesting. What does it mean to you to represent your background and your culture in such a global and intense sport?
When I first started competing, but when I started competing a bit more, there was very few, let's say, very few Somali athletes in combat sports, MMA, boxing, kickboxing. There's very few. But they started representing, and with time, I've seen in the last 5-6 years, there's so much more now. And maybe it's because of that, the representation. I think representation in anything, it just inspires other people to do it. And it breaks barriers, like, some people, they think they can't do something because they haven't been represented. Like, I'll give you an example. Sometimes you'll see things, for example, in politics, they'll say, for example, first Muslim, first black person in parliament, and it's like, first. But there was probably a load of other black people who wanted to do the same thing, but they thought it's not possible. You know what I mean? They probably thought, oh, it's not a possible thing for us to be in that field. And likewise, there might have been, like I said, there was only few people when I was competing that was in, but there might have been some in the background who we just didn't know, and they just thought, no, I'm Somali. I probably can't get recognized. It probably won't work out.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a sport that favors other people and stuff like that, And I think that was the power of representation. Not only from me. There's other Somali fighters too, that also deserve credit.
Do you see a future for martial arts in your home country or in your community in general?
I think a few years ago I was speaking to someone. I believe, I don't know if it was where it was. It was somewhere in Somalia, but he had a small gym. It didn't last, but it was something, and that's how it always starts. It starts with a foundation. It starts with something small,
Mm-hmm.
and with time it grows. But it's a long game.
Okay.
It's definitely not a short game. It's very possible in the future.
And it's the fifth time you're fighting in Abu Dhabi, UAE
Fourth.
Warriors. Fourth time. How do you find Abu Dhabi Warriors in general? The city, the culture, the vibes, and the system. Is it any way different than whatever you've been exposed to before?
Yeah, this organization, UAE Warriors, everything is done to a very high standard. It's on par with a lot of very high level shows in terms of the production. You saw yesterday when you were there.
Yeah.
The
That's a
production,
top notch.
yeah, the production is on another level. The even just the people they collaborate with, like Abu Dhabi Sports TV, like these are national,
Mm-hmm.
TV channels, news, journalists, and
Mm.
all this kind of stuff. But yeah, everything is on a high level. Yeah, you worries. But to be honest, that's anything with Abu Dhabi. I don't think Abu Dhabi ever do anything
Mm-hmm.
half-hearted. Any event from what I've seen in Abu Dhabi is always at a high level.
Mm-hmm.
It's like even the regional, the small events, maybe like a small competition, they still make it look very high level, and they make the production on point. The organization is always on point.
Out of all four fights you have had in the UAE Warriors here in Abu Dhabi, you have won all of them, right?
Lost one, the first one in
Okay.
2022. They offered me this fight. They said to me, there's a champion. So this is an interim championship. So it's like there's a champion, but he hasn't fought in a long time, for about a year. I don't know, injury or something. So they made this fight for the temporary but so if he doesn't come back in X amount of time, he'll be stripped of the belt, and I'll be like the undisputed champion.
Okay.
But as of right now, the plan is probably for me and him to fight and to unify the belts,
Okay.
and there'll be one champion basically.
Let's talk about your early times in the MMA world. Do you have vivid memories of your first fight? What kind of memory is that? What do you remember the most about your first fight in the ring?
If we talk in MMA, I competed in other combat sports before MMA, but MMA, I remember very well how it was my first fight. I was excited because it was something I wanted to do for quite a long time, and I had a bit of experience in kickboxing, and that kind of prepared me for it. And I remember I was excited. It was a new environment, but when you're young, you just want to just go in and get stuck in, and that's how it was. I was very excited. I remember. I'll never forget. Very excited, very happy once the fight was over. There was a good crowd as well. We had quite a few people there. Yeah, I remember it very well.
Where was that, by the way?
It was in England, yeah, in
That
Kent.
was in England.
Yeah.
What was the most difficult challenge you have faced transforming from training into a professional combat fighter?
If there's something you're chasing, it's usually not one problem. It's going to be a world of problems, and it's just never one thing. If it was just one thing, maybe you're not putting that much time into your craft, I think. Like, I've been doing this now for more than 10 years training, but it's like constant battles, constant. One time you have no money, one time this, one time injury, one time this, one time you can't get a fight, one time you lose a fight, one time you win a fight. It's just the up and down in your mind. Your mentality is just all over the place. You're thinking, oh, is this worth doing? It's not. There's a quote I read recently. He said, when you're closest to achieving what you want to achieve is a time that it's the easiest to quit.
That's powerful.
Yeah, because you work so hard for something, for example, and you just think, oh, I haven't
It
even
might
achieved
not
or
be
haven't. Yeah,
working.
it's not happened.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if you made 100 videos and you're getting 500 views every time,
Yeah.
and you're thinking,
The final
maybe
point is basically
but
the breaking
probably
point.
100 or 102, you're probably gonna hit that
Mm-hmm.
that big time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen the picture of like the guy mining the diamonds and he's
seen
right,
it.
he's near.
Yeah.
You
He's
know?
about to quit. If he hits one last time, he's
The
going to get the
diamond,
goal.
yeah. And yeah, like as a fighter, that's the thing that's always in your mind. You think,
Yeah.
when am I gonna get this? When am I gonna get this? You're chasing something, but you don't know when it's gonna come.
Yeah.
And it's just such a up and down sport. Like it's a
You don't know that particular day it's going to break.
yeah,
you're
you're
gonna
never
have a
gonna
breakthrough.
have your moment,
Breakthrough.
you know.
Yeah.
And
It's like going to the gym. You don't know when
when you're gonna look
exactly
good.
you get there. Yeah.
When am I gonna?
But
look
you
good?
keep doing it.
When am I gonna hit the weight that I
Yeah,
want to hit?
exactly.
Yeah. So that's what it is about fighting. It's just constant up and down. Your mentality is constantly challenged. This is all year round. Like I fought yesterday. In my head, I'm thinking there were so many mistakes. I need to get to the gym quick.
Mm-hmm.
But I need to heal up some injury. So, and then I'm thinking, all right, I need to get to the gym, work on X, Y, and Z. Then you might get a fight. Then you're thinking, I was trying to focus on X, Y, and Z mistakes. You know, so it's just constantly, you're just constantly battling nonstop in this sport. For me, it was not necessarily one moment, but it's more of the fact that it's every day you're thinking, where's the diamond? Where's the diamond? Where's the diamond?
Yeah,
You know?
chasing that moment of
Yeah.
breakthrough. Speaking of this constant training and getting ready for the fights and all year round, every day, all day, what does it take to get ready for a fight like the one last night, for example? What is the routine like? How do you get mentally and physically and spiritually ready for a fight like this? Is there a particular routine you have to go through to get ready for a fight?
It kind of goes back to your other question about the challenges. Like when you have a fight, this is where a lot of challenges start mentally. So this fight, to be honest, I didn't get too much notice. I think I had about 6 weeks notice, and it was a 5-round fight. It's not the greatest of preparation time. The reason I talk about the challenges, like when you have a fight, you gotta remember that it's like 6 to 8 weeks or whatever it is, 10 weeks. It's 6 weeks of thinking about one thing constantly, every day. You're thinking about one person, what he's trying to do to you, what you're trying to do to him. You're thinking about all the preparation. You don't want to leave any stone unturned. You're thinking, if I eat that, what's he eating? Okay, I stopped at that rep. I think he could have done one more rep. Let me do one more. So you're constantly challenging. You're thinking about someone. You're
Outdoing somebody you don't even know.
You're thinking about something that's uncontrollable. You can't control how hard he trains, but you're thinking, I have to train. I have to eat. Like sometimes there'll be something you think, just a small thing. Like I just told you, I had this coffee. I can't remember the last time I had sugar in my coffee. You'd just be thinking, should I have that teaspoon of sugar?
Or not?
Nah, I don't think he's having it. I'm not having it. So these little things. And then the preparation, you're training 2 times a day, 2 to 3 times a day, 6 days a week. Your body's battered. You need to make your make sure your recovery is on point. Your sleep, your diet. You're training hard now. Like once you have a fight, you're pushing the up in the tempo. And yeah, at the end of the day, the sport hurts. It hurts. Training hurts. You know, it's a very physical thing. Your body's in pain every day. You wake up in the morning. You're in pain.
I can see you're super knocked after.
Your body's in pain. But you need to go to the gym in 2 hours. Go, come home, rest, eat, sleep. Wait for next training. Your body's sore. Go training again. Make sure your recovery is on point. Sleep. It's just, and you're doing this for 6 weeks, constantly challenge your body. And what at the same time of this that's the physical part. Then you have the stress of what a fight is. You know, like I can put you through the physical aspects of training. Yeah, your body will hurt, but the mental stress of a fight and what's on the line, what there is to gain, what there is to lose. That's a whole nother part of your mind. And I think the mental challenges are more than the physical challenges in MMA.
Let's take a particular example. In your last fight last night, for example, what was going through your mind when you were preparing for that fight? And compare that to when your hand was raised and you were given this medal.
I just said this to someone literally maybe a week ago. You know when when your training finishes, like a week and a half before the fight, when you start to taper down and ease up on the training, you're just like, I'm so glad the preparation is over. The preparation is the hard part. The fight is the easiest part. Like, if I put all the training on one side of the scale and I put the fight on the one scale, the training is harder. Like, because it's constant. You're battered. You have that hard session. All right, and again tomorrow. But the thing is, like you said, when your hand gets raised, it just wipes that out. You forget, genuinely, like, I genuinely forget, like, how hard it was, you know?
Yeah.
But that's how it is, anything in life. When you work hard for something and you finally achieve it,
It's just so rewarding.
It's rewarding, and you just feel like that was the price. That's all it was. This was the price to have this. To have this belt, the price was that hard training. And I'm like, I gladly done it, you know?
The fight last night was 5 rounds, right?
Yeah.
5 rounds. Each round is 5 minutes. 25 minutes of intense fighting. Oh my God. I was sitting among people can see it. I'll put it up for people so that they can see basically what the fight was like. There was so much energy and the fight was so intense. You guys were fighting so hard. The punch and the bit. I was telling a friend of mine, if I get one of these punches, I'm done for life. I can see you're training for a whole 6 weeks, day in, day out. You said twice a day?
Twice a day, 3 times. Sometimes.
No days off?
1 day off.
Oh, 1 day off. So 6 days, 2 times, 8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks, yeah.
6 days a week, 2 times a day.
Yeah.
That's one hell of a job. and on top of that, you're just training for only 25 minutes.
One man. Train for one man for 25 minutes.
Oh my God.
So 25 minutes. The stress. Because it's for a small thing, but you put so much focus on it. When you put so much focus on it, it's a lot of stress.
Let me ask you this: what role does faith and spirituality play in your career, in your fight, both in the ring and out of the ring? This must be a tough job, Muhidin.
It is, but I don't think any dream is tough.
Okay.
Because of what this dream is, it's fighting, it's physical. I think people put it on a pedestal. Like, someone could say, okay, fighting is tough. But for me, I would say running 10, 20 kilometers like Mo Farah, I think that's tough. As I heard someone say, more money, more problems. He's like, less money is also more problems. Just choose your problems. So
which problem fits you? Yeah. Which problem did you choose?
More money, more problems. Yeah. Choose your problems, you know? Yeah. So, yeah, that's what it is. At the end of the day, it's a job, but it's something that I've been doing for so long. So I try to not look at it as a job and just discipline. When you're disciplined, it becomes a lifestyle. When you start slacking, that's when it gets harder to get back in routine. That's why after a fight, I take a little bit of time off, but I don't like to take too long because then it's hard to get back into routine. I'm sure you understand. Getting back into routine for something that's so hard and physical on your body is tough. You go to the first training, it feels like you've done 5 trainings. So yes. So
you're saying faith basically is an integral part of your career.
Yeah, faith definitely. It's the most important thing at the end of the day for me. I think I say to people, anyone who has faith, regardless if it's faith in something that's right or wrong, and I'm not just saying religious faith. Some people fight. They have faith in something like they fight for something. I kind of compare fighting for something as fighting with faith. For example, someone who has strong faith, he believes in support from a higher power or whatever. And then there's someone who fights for something that I have to represent this. I don't know, where I come from, there's poverty or my family, this is the food on it. Whenever you fight for something, that person, even if someone fights for something that is nonsense, but if he believes it to be the truth, like I said, not only religion. Yeah.
If you fight for anything, whatever that may be.
They'll always fight harder, and they'll always find something within to fight harder, you know?
Yeah, it gives meaning and purpose.
Yes, that's
when
exactly
somebody's basically working hard on something because he believes it gives better.
Yeah, exactly. Like even someone who's chasing a dream, he believes it. It might never be rich. He might never catch that dream. It might be from the outside looking in like, that guy's never achieving that.
Yeah.
But because he believes it, he's
It gives
working
meaning
so
to his
hard.
life.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think faith helps in a lot of ways. It's the most important thing for me personally. At the end of the day, for me, what faith is I know whatever happens is beyond my control.
Okay.
I don't have any strength or power over anything. I know that. And I can just tie my camel, and the rest is as it should be and as
Yeah.
it will be. And there's only one way it will be.
Who are your biggest role models in this industry?
I'd say Habib.
Habib.
Yeah.
Do you plan to be the African Habib? Or the Somali Habib,
How I
let's
say, okay. I'll say first of all why I say Habib. As a person, I'll give an example. Okay, he reached the superstardom and he showed, like, people have seen who he is as a person. There may be people who are not as famous as Habib, but they're better people than Habib, fighters. For example, let's say there could be someone who's fighting yesterday who is a better person than Habib in terms of what Habib we've seen, the good we've seen from him. Maybe these guys have those in abundance more than him. But they haven't reached the level of Habib to have the platform to show the world. So everyone says Habib is humble, helped his nation, he done this. Maybe these guys, if they want to do that more than Habib wanted to. But it's easy to say when you're down here, but when you're up here and you can actually stick to your morals and do those things, then it's a different story. Like, anyone can be humble when no one knows you. But how many people have we seen go from ground up and then the humbleness kind of goes down? Like, okay, Habib's known to be a generous person. Maybe there was someone who was fighting yesterday who was also a generous person. But that guy don't have millions of pounds to give to people to help.
It's not in that position.
But now, maybe when he sees that money, maybe he's not so generous and maybe his money starts going. So this is what I say, what I respect the most about Habib and why I say it. There's things that you take example is that he's someone that kind of, he got to the height and he's stuck with his morals. I think that's something that, for me, I have my morals, but I can't tell you tomorrow that if I have millions and millions of people following me and millions of dollars, that I'm gonna be the same person. I can't guarantee you that. No one's safe from the temptations of the world, you know. So it's something to admire and something to look at and take from.
Very interesting. So would you consider Habib as your role model in combat sports and in life in general?
I wouldn't say in life in general. In terms of someone how they articulate themselves in this career and how they use their career to do good, that's what I take
for
from
himself
Habib.
and for their community as well. For the world, let's say.
I wouldn't say for yourself. You're fighting, you're gonna achieve what you're gonna achieve, whatever. But like, there's loads of people who've made millions of dollars and whatnot from sports, from anything like that. But did they use it to? Maybe they do give, I don't know, give charity, help people, support their communities. But what he did, what I truly respect, is how much he done and how he was able. Like, he used his platform in sports to try and make his impact as much as he could. That's how I like. He's made a big impact using his platform, because there's been other people who've had big platforms, but they didn't really impact their community or impact other people. So yeah, in terms of sport, I would say, but in terms of life, we have our.
And speaking of this experience with Habib and your philosophy as well, what was the most humbling moment in your career, in your time in the combat sports and MMA in particular?
I would say, but when you say humbling, it kind of makes it sound like he was maybe a bit arrogant. And so I don't really know, but I'd say if I had to put something, I think when I lost my first professional fight, my only professional loss. It wasn't necessarily that I was arrogant or anything, but because it had been so long, like I had lost as an amateur, but it had been quite a few years. It kind of took me back down to earth. Like you're just, you just remember that anyone can win, and you forget what it's like to lose because you haven't lost in so long.
You're so used to winning.
Yeah, and it becomes something you. It's like you almost subconsciously think it's not a possible thing. It's not possible to lose. Like it doesn't. You don't respect that that element of this game. Like once you lost, you think, man, I'm just me. Like I'm not a superhero. I'm not invincible. You know, and you kind of. But like I said, I don't think I was arrogant and thinking like I'm better than everyone. But it reminds you. Sometimes you just need a reminder in life. Like maybe you're not the man. Maybe you need to take things slowly. Maybe you need to respect people more. So that's how. What if I had to pinpoint something? I'd say that probably.
And where do you see yourself in the next 3 years in the MMA world?
I hope to be in the UFC soon.
Okay.
Inshallah.
You tried that before?
Processes are just a bit up and down with the UFC. You never know. But 3 years, I definitely hope to be in the UFC.
Okay. So the UFC takes candidates every year?
No, it wouldn't. It doesn't work like that. It's more about just winning, building records, making a name for yourself in the MMA world. This belt was definitely a healthy step in that direction.
Okay.
Because you Warriors have a good relationship with the UFC. So yeah, hopefully we're on the right path.
Okay. So the next 3 years we're gonna have Muhidin in the UFC. How important is discipline in your game?
Discipline is everything. Everything in this game. If you don't have discipline, I've had these conversations with people that I know. When I see them, they're not disciplined. I tell them like, "What are you doing?" Like, if you're not disciplined, just don't do it. Don't waste your time. Because this is something that's gonna take up your time, and you're not gonna get anything from it. Because there's people who are disciplined, training for years, and this sport is so unrewarding. There's people training for years and years, and they're disciplined, and they come out with nothing. The dream is just a dream. It doesn't come to fruition. How many people you see say, I want to become footballers? They never become footballers after chasing for many years. Same thing with MMA. But the difference with MMA is in the process, you're going to get hurt. Because while you're not disciplined and you're not dieting properly, you're not training properly as you should be, and you're partying on the weekends, wasting time. There's a guy who's training very hard. And when it's game day, when it's time to do your job, you're going to be in the cage with him and you're going to fight. And that's the thing about discipline in MMA. If you're not disciplined, it's not just, oh, you're not going to get results. No, you're going to get hurt and then you're not going to get results. So you have to be on top of everything: food, sleep, training, even just habits. Like when you have a fight, 6-8 weeks, this time you don't even see your friends like once. You don't do anything but train. You're training, you're eating, you're sleeping, training again, sleeping. It's just a cycle of hard work, constant. So without discipline, it's just, do not do the sport.
And what advice do you have for young people who are passionate about MMA fighting or combat sports or non-traditional dreams?
It's a good question that I always, whenever anyone asks me about combat sports, I always just push it towards that non-traditional dreams. It's not just about MMA. This advice is to anyone chasing something. Honestly, anything is possible. Every dream you have, someone's achieved it. I want to be in the UFC. How many people have been to the UFC? All those people who've been to the UFC are no different to me. None of them. They all have 2 arms and 2 legs. All of them, they breathe like me. They bleed like me. So what's stopping me from doing what they do? Nothing. Nothing is stopping me except myself. It just comes down to my discipline. And that's how I see every dream. And I tell people, if you really want it, not if you just want it in your head. Like I want to be a billionaire, but I don't really want to do what it takes to be a billionaire. I'll be honest with you.
Very
That's
good.
the reality.
Wow.
You know what it takes to be a billionaire. You probably don't sleep at night. So if you really, really want it, if you're ready to do everything that it takes to achieve a dream, you can do it. But that comes down to you and only you. So honestly, like one thing that I always talk about is like being Somali, but also where I'm from. I come from working class family, working class area, ethnic minority in the UK. We come from a place where the odds are not stacked in your favor. We're not we're not made.
Yeah, you don't have the setup.
Yeah, we don't have the setup.
Yeah.
If anything, the setup's been crashed down and they've given us the rubble.
Wow.
Like where we live, council estates. Like we live in communities where families are struggling. Families are not paying rent. Families, food rations going to. There's people who can't eat while without having debts, and there's families who are all over the place where we come from. And that's why for me this fight I wanted to show like I said, there's a very high crime rate in my community. Amongst Somalis a lot as well. So I just wanted to show like we don't have the setup, but we can still do it. And I hope someone, maybe one person even from my community is gonna think, yeah, you know what, that dream I have, maybe I can achieve it. Because there's gonna be people, honestly, in life, they're gonna hate on you, they're gonna love you, they're gonna support you. There's gonna be people that I went to school with, they're gonna be thinking, wow, Muhidin achieved that. But there's gonna be some thinking, Muhidin, he probably had some support, or he probably has a rich family, or he probably got set up by this person helped him, and no, I helped myself.
Yeah.
Since I was 13, 14, I didn't want to ask my parents for money. Since I was 13 or 14, I used to sell sweets and chocolates in school and drinks to pay for my training. I used to have money from selling sweets, chocolates and drinks. People think, well, he made £5-10. Oh, he's got money. All this money has gone to the gym. I used to spend it all in the gym. But people, they probably think, he had money. Now they see this, they probably think, he got links with this person, this famous fighter, this guy maybe does. But it's just, hard work it's not always what you see. Like you said, if we didn't have this conversation, like you said, it's only for 25 minutes. But for me, I know it's not just 25 minutes, it's the 6 to 8 weeks that I was training for. But if I didn't tell you, you don't know that. It's the same thing with this. People see this belt, they don't know what I went through to get this belt. I've been training since I was in my teens and, gave up all my teen years, all the events. I think this training camp alone, this preparation for this fight alone, I think I missed 3 weddings.
Just because
family
you wanted
weddings.
to make
I need
it.
to go to the gym. I need to train.
And that's the cost it takes to win.
That's just this fight. I think there's one literally today. A lot of my family who came to my fight last night, they flew straight away to catch the wedding in the morning. This is the 3rd one I missed just for this fight. So imagine how many things I've missed over all these years because of my training and my fighting.
You think chasing your dream is a lonely process?
I don't think it's lonely. You saw yesterday.
Yeah. But I mean, nobody's accompanying you in the training, doing these long hours of training.
But I still don't say it's lonely, because for me, I can never say it's lonely, because I know there's some people who supported me in many ways that I can't say I was alone.
Yeah.
They truly supported me, And I know there's some people that I can message them now. And if I need anything, they will go out their way truly to help me. If I say, yo, I need this, I need help with this, for my dream, for this, there's people that really go out of their way to help me. So I can't say I'm alone, because I'm not alone. All these people support me. You saw yesterday, that's a small example. There was about maybe 70, 80 people that came yesterday. Maybe 10 to 20 flew from the UK. How can I say I'm alone when guys are leaving their families and spending money just to come watch me for 25 minutes and then they're going back home? They could have watched it on TV.
That's powerful.
They could have watched on TV. There's people that did watch on TV. There's some people that found some illegal streams, got it for free. But these guys came, they wanted to show their support, and they come here. So how can I say I'm alone?
And what does that make you feel?
It's humbling, honestly. Because, like I said, I just think about who I am at my core, who I am, how I'm raised, my upbringing, where I grew up. And like I said, the people who achieve these things, they're not from where I come from. So it's like I went outside the box, but I'm still who I am. So for that many people to support me, people to have that much support, it's usually people that I know to be famous, middle class. If you had the setup to get to where they, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
way more well positioned than you do.
yeah, so, and I say that because people from where I come from, they don't really get out that bubble of doing anything great because they don't have the setup and they don't really believe that they can do it. So for me, it's like, yeah, I don't know,
That's humbling.
yeah, it's humbling for sure.
And if someone is starting from the scratch and wants to pursue career in the MMA world, what would be the first step? If I, for example, want to...
The first thing, it's as simple as it sounds, just find a gym and walk in. Walk into a gym.
Okay.
Sign up, train your first day. Just start from there. Honestly, it's baby steps. And like I said, for any non-traditional gym, just take the first step. It's as simple as that. Like, you're asking me that, you probably didn't think it would be that basic, but it's literally just go to the gym. Go train for the first day. Look around. Even watch the session. And likewise for any gym. Just take the first basic step. You don't need to look at the top of the ladder. Just take the first step and keep looking at the next one. And by the end of it, you'll be at the top.
Very interesting. What does legacy mean to you, Muhidin? I mean, in whatever you're doing and whatever we're doing, we're building legacy. So what does legacy mean to you? And how do you want people to remember Muhidin? What do you want to be known for? What legacy do you want to leave behind?
For me, legacy is what you leave behind, what impact you have when you're gone. A lot of people say legacy, they look at like, sporting accomplishment, for example, like athletes. But then they say, my legacy, I want to achieve X, Y, and Z, this trophy that I'm in. That's all materialistic things that, it's like this belt tomorrow. If it falls down, it breaks. Of course, it's written that I'm a champion and whatnot, but these are like materialistic things that they can go tomorrow. You can say, my legacy, or you can say, I want to achieve millions of pounds, but the money goes, and then what? That's not a legacy. That's not something you leave behind. I think legacy is about, to me, what legacy is leaving something when you're gone that people can look back on that's not materialistic. Like, so for example, in my field, I think legacy is not about, okay, he won the belt 10 times, he defended his belt 10 times. From a sporting perspective, yeah, but at the end of the day, you're an athlete for a short time. You're not an athlete 365 times a day. Yeah, like me, I'm an athlete for 25 minutes. Of course, I'm training and whatnot, but at the same time, when I'm training, I'm going home. I'm a brother, I'm a son. You know what I mean? I'm a cousin. So the legacy's got to be beyond sport, in my opinion. And so I think legacy, like what I would like to be remembered, my legacy would be, I would love to be remembered for more things outside of sport than sport. More positivity out of sport than sport. Because I can win 100 fights, but what's that going to do for anyone in the world? Really? But if my legacy was, okay, he did X, Y, and Z, he did this for his community, he did this for his country, he helped build this, he helped that. That's something that when I'm gone, people are still supporting those things and whatnot. But achievements in sport, the sport career is short, and I don't think it's something that you can hold on to forever, because even me, I can be finished fighting in 10 years, and then in 20 years, I'm not fighting anymore. But I need to be still doing something. Winning the belt in UAE Warriors last night, it's not going to, like in 20 years' time, it's probably not going to be doing any, it's not going to be changing anyone's life or doing any positivity in the world. But if I won the belt, and this is one thing, like I always want, like whenever I fight, I always think to myself how I can fight and have a fight, and after it, whether it be platform or anything, try to do some good. Sometimes by your speech, sometimes by your manners, your etiquettes, or anything. So always try to do some positivity with your thing. Kind of like what I was talking about with Habib. That's for me what legacy is, being remembered as something. What I want to be, so the second part of your question, one, for me, my legacy, what I would like, not only when my career's done, but just in life in general, I always think about is I wanna be known like as someone who no one can say anything bad about. Of course, you always get in the sense that no one can turn around, no one can say tomorrow, Muhidin done me wrong. That's for me one of the biggest things for me.
Very interesting. You just want to die safe.
Yeah, die knowing that I don't wrong anyone, and that's what I try to do.
Like intentionally.
Yeah.
All right. Let's look at it from a health perspective. Does it have a toll on your health? I mean, taking the hits. I mean, all this intense thought processes and extreme stress of preparation.
Yeah, it definitely has. It definitely has effects on your body, physically, your health, even your mental health. Like there's some people that stress, they don't cope well with it. There's some people, honestly, you go to the gym, they're amazing fighters. You think, wow, this guy's so good. But he goes to the cage, just that one day, just the stress of everything under the lights, they freeze and they don't perform. So that's just the part of the mental, you know? So yeah, it definitely has effect on your health. And physically, yeah, you're beating up your body, taking shots all the time. It's definitely not.
And how do you plan to cope with that in the long run?
I guess you try to be smart with your training. That's a big thing. And I think that's the thing that's starting to slowly get more popular in the MMA community. But there's still a lot of people who don't have that in their mind about being smart in their training. There's people who are... The damage that you're taking in the fights, honestly, is nothing compared to what some guys are taking in the gym. Some people are having wars in the gym day in, day out, and those people, they don't last long in their careers. Their careers just end up short. They're taking damage, and injuries and whatnot just gets to them.
Very interesting. Let me take you down a different path for now. This is basically sports, just like football. And you know, sports economy is a very lucrative business. How does this make sense for a starter who doesn't have a clue about this whole industry? Give us a little bit of an insight about how this whole makes sense financially.
The sport?
I mean, MMA in particular.
I think, fighting is something that every human is just naturally interested in.
Mm-hmm.
I give the example to people all the time. Do you watch football?
Yeah.
Okay. You're more of a football fan than MMA fan, right?
I wouldn't say I'm a football fan, but I watch it sometimes.
Okay.
I'm not so crazy about it, by the way.
Tell me a sport that you watch more than MMA.
I would say paddle.
Paddle. You watch it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I play it sometimes.
Okay. So, you're a paddle fan? Not necessarily an MMA fan. Okay. But if you went to the park now and there was two guys playing paddle there and two guys fighting there, you're going to watch the fight.
Yeah. Why do you think is that?
I think it's just something about naturally humans are just like that. Animals are like that. Humans, just fighting is just something that's it's just in us, I think, honestly. And yeah, when you give that example, I tell people all the time, like football fans who don't even watch MMA fans, I say MMA, I tell them MMA is more interesting than football. They say, no, it's not. I said, look, you say it's not because you're not attached to a sport, you're attached to a team. But if we take them both at their purest forms, go to the park, two 10-year-old boys you don't know, two 10-year-old boys you don't know playing football, two 10-year-old boys you don't know fighting. 100% you're watching the fight. 100%. You're not watching the football. That's right. Correct? Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Where is this coming from, do you think? I mean, is it the fact that
innate, I think. I mean, if we look Adam and Abel and Adam and Hawa's kids, like it was just something from beginning of time,
yeah.
kind of in us,
Mm-hmm.
I guess. And war is just been like that since the beginning of time. But the reason I bring that up is because when you talk about how MMA financially, it's because the audience is just always going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Guys always want to watch fights. People always ready to watch combat, and that's just where the money comes from. It's the urge to watch people fight. People are willing to pay for it as well, and that's literally how it is.
You're basically a brand yourself. So how do brands and businesses and people who are interested or passionate about this industry, how can they be a part of your journey or support you in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah, me and my team managers, we're always getting we're always ready to speak about collaborations, sponsorships. Yeah, my management, my team, they're always available to contact for any kind of collaborations or sponsorships if anyone's interested.
Lastly, a funny question. Were there ever a naysayer when you were starting off your career in this very interesting
Line of work.
line of work, very non-traditional, particularly given the context of our community?
Naysayers.
Very unpopular.
To be
and-
honest, it's a good question because, like I said, back to one of the first questions. When I started training,
Mhm,
I was always fighting in school, always getting into trouble.
mhm.
And then when I started training, obviously I told you my parents wanted me to start discipline and whatnot, become more disciplined. But at the same time, a lot of relatives, a lot of people who I had problems with, for example, maybe school teachers would say this, oh, he's always fighting in school. These people, the naysayers, teachers, family, they're like, why are you taking Muhidin to training? He's just going to start fighting more. So they had well, that's what from the outside, if you look at it, that's how a lot of people would think. But my parents knew from the get-go it wouldn't be like that. And yeah, like you don't hear, honestly, you really don't ever see people who go into martial arts come out of it worse. You don't see that ever. Like if you spend enough time in the gym, you will not become a worse person, 100%. And that's why, forget about competing as an athlete. I definitely urge all people to push their children into martial arts, 100%, especially in our community. All those people are like, there's a lot of crime, there's a lot of negative things that people are spending their time doing. There's a lot of, even not things that we're doing, but outside influence, propaganda, media, things, agendas people are pushing. Put them in the gym, keep them safe from certain things.
If this episode basically reached anybody, a young person out there, on the edge of giving up, what do you think would be the only takeaway out of this episode for them not to give up? Like, what would you urge them to do?
Just keep going. I think one big factor is people look too far ahead. When you have a dream, it's like a very long ladder. Don't look at the top. The top looks too far away. You're not going to get there. You're thinking, how can I get to the top? And you're going to have to jump. You can't. You have to take small steps, and you have to try find small victories. You're looking for the big victory, but just find the small victories. And that's what makes the journey easier. Of course, you're chasing that big dream, but focus more on chasing improvement and chasing progress. Chase enough progress, you'll get what you want. It just takes X amount of progress. That's all it takes to achieve what you want. You want to achieve something so high, if you just keep getting better, keep getting better, keep getting better. If you keep getting better X amount of times, you're going to get there. So you really have to put your mind to it. And there's a reason it's difficult, because it's a dream. If it wasn't a dream, if it was easy, everyone would have done it. All those people like you today, for example, I'll give myself an example. I'm an MMA fighter. I didn't quit. There's some kids who have quit, and there's some people on the urge of quitting. This person, now I say to this person who's on the urge of quitting, if you keep going, you're going to do what I do. You're going to achieve something. But if you don't, if it was easy, all these 4 people, these other people who quit, they would have stuck with it as well. But it's not meant to be easy. It's not for everyone. That's why dreams are dreams. And that's why if you look at any successful person, they didn't have a traditional road. Like, they always go through some hardships and some challenges. That's part of dream. And that's what I'll tell you, from anyone even thinking of having a dream, just be ready for bumps in the road, because it's not smooth sailing. I tell people all the time, whatever you think it will take to achieve it, it takes more. Everything is harder than you think. I didn't think it was going to be this hard. When I was 14, 15 years old, I didn't understand how much mental stress. I didn't know how, because it's far, you don't see it. But that's just how it is. I wish somebody told me it's going to be even harder than this.
Would you have taken it?
Yeah, I think I still would have. Because I know how I am as a person. And I know that I embrace challenge, and I'll do things that are hard. But it's everything that's worth having is going to be tough. Tougher than you think, unfortunately. It
should be tougher than that.
If it wasn't worth having, it would be easy. So it wouldn't be a dream.
Yeah. And anybody would have got it.
Yeah. Like, if MMA was easy,
it wouldn't have been.
There'd be a million MMA fighters, honestly. There's people, you think there's not men who watch MMA fans, some fat, out of shape men who wish they could fight? They watch, but they don't have it in them to go and train hard for years, and so.
Very good. One last question. Out of all the identities out there for you in the world, growing up in the UK, you're exposed to different identities throughout the time. And you choose to fight under the name, under the Somali name. May I know why is that?
The best way I like to put it is, I heard a fighter from Afghanistan, he fight in the UFC ethnically. Afghanistan, lives in Germany. Mm-hmm. I heard him say, this is the best way I can put it. So he used to carry an Afghanistan flag. Mm-hmm. If we compare them and us in this field, very similar. Conservative, ethnic minorities. It's not something, not a traditional pathway they traditionally do. Yeah. Untraditional dream, let's say, for them, just like us. He said, when I take this flag in the cage, there's so many Afghan people, they look at this and they think, wow. When you say UFC, people think Habib, Conor McGregor. They think UFC, they put it on a pedestal. And now for them to see like a flag of their nation there, it just uplifts them. We have a lot of poverty in our community, in our country, a lot of hardships for many years. And this kind of gives them some hope. If you see someone achieve something great from your community, it makes you believe that you can achieve something. And I'm not just talking about MMA. Like, growing up, imagine if we saw 10 players in Man United that was Somali. Imagine how many Somali parents would have let their kids pursue football. Imagine if there was 10, every football team in the Premier League had 5 Somali players. Just imagine. But now look at the opposite. What does all the teams in the Premier League have? They have English people, majority. And what do English people do? They let their kids chase football. You know what I mean? So that's what it is. He said, so for me, the Somali flag is to show people that I don't see myself as achieving something great or I've done anything great. But when I know for them, they might think that, these people. So maybe there's a poor kid in Somalia, he sees, wow, there's a guy fighting in an MMA cage, Somalia flag. Wow, that's something crazy. Then he thinks, you know what? I want to be a doctor. Maybe I can do it. Maybe I can do it. Yeah, my family don't have money, but I'll find, so it's just to inspire people that you can do great things regardless of where you're from. Even if you're just one around in your industry or in your community.
It was so nice meeting you, my brother. That's Muhidin Abukar. It was a pleasure meeting you, and it was a pleasure watching you in the ring last night. It was a beautiful win. Congratulations for this beautiful belt. That was well deserved. I hope a beautiful future ahead of you, inshallah. And thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me.
Thank you for having me.
That's it for today. Until next episode, thank you guys so much. Please subscribe to this channel so that it reaches more. Thank you so much, Abubakar.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.